Before working on any firearm, make sure the magazine is empty and removed. Also make sure the chamber is empty and the firearm is unloaded.
Okay, now to begin the reassembly of the 1911 Tactical, we start everything just in reverse. So we'll start with the trigger. Going to install the trigger. Back into the back of the frame, push forward, make sure there's free play there. There is, so we're good. All right, then going to install the mag catch. Put the mag catch back in. And sometimes they can be a little ornery. So now that's back in. Now our next step is to put the sear and disconnector in. Now the sear is going to set like that in the frame. I don't know if you can see that very well. We all be in black. Okay, this is your disconnector. Your sear is going to set right on top, just like that. And that's what it looks like from the back side when you're looking down in. Put it inside, line up the disconnector into its hole. Now that's lined up, we can now install the sear pin. Okay, on the tactical model, it's the sear pin helps hold the right side safety in. So it's got a notch. You got to make sure the notch is towards the back. All right, once you've got that in, your next step is to install the sear spring. Make sure the sear spring is locked into the notch down below, and that the left hand sear spring with the hook on it is setting on top of the sear foot. Okay, once we know it's setting on top of the sear foot, you're going to visually check to confirm that it's in there. Then you can put back on your mainspring housing about halfway. Okay, seeing that it's all halfway and it's all got the proper tolerances and gaps. Next we can install the hammer. Okay, press forward, down in, push in your pin. Now you notice how my hammer isn't all the way forward. You just cock the hammer back, press the keep the trigger depressed and let the hammer come all the way forward. Once that's done, then now we can install the grip safety. All right, so you line up that grip safety, make sure it's setting in the notch, the strut setting in the notch. All right, now on the tactical style guns with ambies, I use the right hand side safety to hold my ambi in while I'm putting the pin back in for the mainspring. So I line up the strut again, make sure it's all set and flush. Everything's working the way it's supposed to. I keep the grip safety depressed with my thumb, my finger, my forefinger. I then press up and install the mainspring pin. I can then okay. With the mainspring back installed, we can now finish assembling the safeties. Don't forget to put your plunger spring assembly in. The small plunger goes forward towards the back of the slide stop. Okay, with those in, we can now install the other side of the thumb safety. Gonna press the hammer back, put in your safety. Now again, you gotta put these about halfway between fire and safe. Take your small bladed screwdriver, depress the plunger spring. Okay, get those in. Use a non-marring hammer or a back of a screwdriver. Give a couple of taps. Make sure that tongue and groove joint is holding those two safeties together are completely engaged. All right. Okay, I don't check the fire controls until after I get the slide on and put back together because I don't want to take a chance of the hammer coming forward, damaging the back of the frame or the hammer or sear. Okay, so now we're going to do the slide. All right, now we can install the extractor. All right, you're going to make sure that it's not clocking, it's set in parallel. It's not clocked one way or the other. Once we know that's good and it's all set and flush to the radius of the back of the slide, we can install the spring, the firing pin. I use my finger on this to hold down the firing pin to get the firing pin started. Once I got it started, then I go back to my handy little tool and push down on the firing pin, push the stop all the way up. All right, now our next step is to install the barrel and spring assembly. So you're going to have your barrel, rotate your link forward, slide it in, take your barrel bushing, put it in, and from upside down it's going to be clockwise, okay? Or excuse me, counterclockwise. Oh, clockwise. All right, so then I push the link back, install the full-length guide rod, the recoil spring, and the spring plug. Now, you got to kind of keep that spring from bending or doing anything weird on you while you're compressing it. Then I take my other finger and get the guide rod, get the bushing started over the spring plug, and then I can use the wrench to line it up. All right, then we can get ready to install it on the frame. You make sure the link is pushed all the way forward. It's setting, the barrel setting square in there. Now take the frame, install the slide onto it, pull the slide back a little bit, line up the link. All right. Okay, now what I do to line this all up is I take my finger on the inside of the breech face, line up the half circle notch under the N and D like we showed earlier, and press. Okay. All right, once the slide's assembled onto the frame, now I check and make sure all the safeties function and all the fire controls work properly. All right, so the first thing I do is I put it on safe. I press the trigger, make sure the hammer won't come forward or won't do any creeping or anything. All right, then I take the safety off. I press on the trigger again, not touching the grip safety, making sure that grip safety is working properly. Now you can depress the grip safety, press the trigger. Now I keep the trigger pressed, and then I release the trigger, and I want to hear that click, and I want to watch that grip safety come forward. That tells me that it's coming off the back of the trigger bow and working correctly. Again, these grips are on all of our new 2013 model tacticals. Then that's the disassembly, reassembly of our tactical.